Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here in person at Earth and Sky, and those of you joining us online, we really appreciate you joining us every week, and thank you for subscribing to us on YouTube and liking our Facebook page. This week we wanted to talk about integrity. In the past, recently, we had talked about respect. We had done that maybe a couple months ago or so.
I think that was about right,
Yeah, and so, but respect is a little different than integrity because respect is an outward version, whereas integrity is inward. Integrity is what you have within yourself. Respect is something you can show yourself by how you act, but respect is also what you give to other people. Sometimes you might want to feel like they need to earn your respect, and for others, they feel like they just freely give respect until it's not warranted anymore.
Show respect.
To show respect,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But integrity is something that regardless of what's going on with other people, it's something you want to have within yourself. It's really an integral aspect of integrity.
Pun intended.
Exactly, is that inward aspect. It's about your moral compass. It's about how you hold yourself, what you expect from yourself. And it's something at Earth and Sky, backing up a little bit, one of the things we like to do at Earth and Sky is we like to raise questions within you so that you make your own choices.
Yeah.
We are not here to say what's right or wrong for anybody, but to have you start going deeper and to ask questions and to figure out what matters to you and where your compass lies with different things.
How much do you want to drive down this road? How much do you want to go down that road? But just to bring up questions to ask yourself.
Exactly, and so the same thing with integrity. We're not here to say how you should be have integrity for yourself or what the details of it are.
Everybody doesn't have to have 100% integrity all the time, period.
But I do have 3 things that I think are really important aspects of integrity as you're working to live your life to the best that you can, which means holding a good and having an integral compass of integrity within yourself, I suppose.
Trying to lock down the moral compass. Okay.
Exactly. And so loyalty is a big aspect of integrity, and it's being able, I liked a quote that was from Stephen Covey, where Stephen Covey had said,
7 Habits of Highly Effective People.
It's a great book. He said, be loyal even when those you're loyal to are not in your presence. So that loyalty really shows not just when you're face to face with them, but being loyal if something is going on and it's about somebody or you're doing something for somebody, do it to that same degree, that same high standard that you would do if they were standing right in front of you.
That's kind of the definition of loyalty, though, isn't it? I mean,
it is. I think sometimes it gets a little bit lost, though, in our culture with people. I think that we've seen a lot of things in the world. Sometimes you see things even in the news that just you'll see people say one thing and then later they say something else. And the loyalty,
loyal in the moment as opposed to loyal as a general aspect of things. Okay.
And I think
fair
to
enough,
have that loyalty as well as to have integrity, you need to know who you are. You need to know what you stand for and know who and what you're loyal to.
Yeah. Well, and people's idea of what they consider loyalty, I think, is an important aspect for them to consider too.
And I know loyalty is a big thing to you. I know that's one of your big character traits.
Every day.
I admire with you.
Yeah.
It was actually your idea to do the talk on integrity.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
And
I don't remember where I came up with it.
And so, but with loyalty, so a lot of that also is really focusing on being loyal to yourself as well as being loyal to others, and really thinking about what matters to you in your life.
When you say that, I think I think loyalty to yourself would be a much more. I think that is where someone should start with the relevance to this, because if you don't have that loyalty to yourself, if you don't have enough self-worth to have that loyalty, then you can't. Going forwards from there it's
because integrity starts inward.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's an absolute necessity.
And you have to build out, know who you are, know what you stand for, know who you are, so you know what you want to even be loyal to. Otherwise, you're looking at things that come in front of you and deciding in the moment, this is something I agree with or not.
You're just reacting to the moment as opposed to having a set pattern that you follow that has to do with your loyalty or how you see your life going.
And then the second component of integrity really kind of falls in a little bit with that aspect of loyalty, and it's where you're going to do what you say you'll do, even if it's going to have a cost to you. Sometimes we see people in life and it's easy to say you'll be there for someone or you'll do something or you have that integrity, you have that loyalty when it's easy.
Right.
But do you stick to that when it's hard, when it's going to cost you, when it's, time that you don't have, or it's you have to keep your word for something but it's really inconvenient.
Yeah, well, that's what
holding up to that?
and that's where I think that's where when you start treading on the idea of if you would take the time to say, when you're talking about somebody, if you would take the time to say that they have integrity, this person has integrity, it is that next step. It's not that, yeah, sure, I'll come do something and then you come do it, usually, and you come do the thing, usually, that kind of a thing. But like if you are, let's say, if you're going to help somebody, they have a huge lawn to be mowed, let's say. And so, and you're going to take time out of your day, you're going to go over and you're going to help them go through and do all of that hard work. Well, that's free. That's extra time, it's a lot of work, and then you have something come up where you actually can make some money that you probably need. And so if you have that come up, taking that, even though you had already doled out your time and energies to someone, doing that's where that question starts to come in. Yeah. Now you're faced with something. Now, should you not take the job? Now that doesn't mean you shouldn't necessarily take the job. But that means if you just don't go, you just don't do it, you've fallen out of that where people would take the time to say, oh yeah, they absolutely live with integrity.
How do you manage things so that you can meet your commitments?
Right.
Things might shift a little bit within it, but make sure you're meeting those commitments.
Yeah. So and that's what, and it's to me, integrity has a lot to do with, it's the thoughtfulness. See, that's why when you said it's the internal, I see it as, it's actually the opposite. I see it as, it's your thoughtfulness to the people around you. It's holding what you say you're going to do, but you're doing it under the terms of how does this affect the people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis. So in like that instance, to me, living with integrity would be something to the effect of, sure, if you get a job and that's more important to you, do that. But then you have to offset that. You have to still fulfill what you said you would do. That's the point of integrity. And so to fulfill that would be to help get one, maybe two other people that would work at least as hard as you, that would be willing to take the time to go do what you were going to do. Things like that. Those are the type of things that you followed through with what you said. Even when the situation arose that made it very difficult for you to do that, you find a way to make it still happen based on what you gave your word to do.
Yeah, that's so like us to see that in opposite ways
exactly.
too.
Yeah, she's like, it's inward. And I'm like, really? I'm thinking it's totally opposite.
But the concept is the same behind
Yeah.
it. When you have that internal compass and inwardly you're honoring yourself and being being a person with integrity.
I know. I tried to look at yours for a second, yeah.
But when you do that, those outward signs are going to just follow,
Yes.
and people will see. They will know that you're living as a person of your word.
Yeah, and to me, literally, like you said, when you see it as an internal, I see it as, in my mind, it's, if someone says you have integrity, it's something that is like bestowed upon you. I don't personally think you can, I think a person can try to live with integrity, but that's not something you can say is your own. You can't say, I do live with integrity. I don't think that's how it works.
Huh.
Living with integrity is something that has to be given to you from people that you have proven that to.
Interesting, says the knight.
We can only hope.
And then, so the third aspect of it that I was thinking about was going above expectations. When you're living a life full of integrity, one of the quotes that I really like that I actually first had heard from you was under promise and over deliver. And that's a really good motto to live your life by, is under promise and, let people know what you think you can do. And do this even with yourself.
Yeah.
Under promise what you know that you can do, and then over deliver. Exceed your expectations for yourself. Exceed your expectations when you promise something to someone else too.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's funny, I just never thought about doing it for myself too. That's
Yeah.
really
Internal. Yeah, and that's where a lot of times when I'm doing goal setting for myself, I tend to have very lofty goals, but I always like to make it where I know I can shoot above it. I know I can reach it and I can pass it just a little bit if I work really hard.
Really hard.
And it's that same concept.
Yeah.
Under promise and over deliver, and you will feel very fulfilled. And those that you're doing something for are going to feel very fulfilled and excited and happy with whatever you're delivering.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great.
What other aspects were you thinking of with integrity?
I think we've hit most of them, actually.
Okay, all right, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
You managed to hit them all just perfectly. I slid mine in there.
And one of the other quotes that I had heard from someone was, let your yes be your yes and let your no be your no. I think that's really an important thing to find, and that's part of that living for yourself with integrity, knowing that when you need to set limits and to set boundaries, set that ahead of time. Then those expectations are managed correctly, and know that sometimes we need to honor ourselves by saying no to certain things. We all have a certain amount of time and a certain amount of things that we can fulfill as we're trying to live our best life and we're working to help other people as well. So let your yes be your yes and your no be your no, and really make sure you're following through on your word.
And with that, I mean, that's where I think a lot of people, like, that's, the yes and no is kind of the binary of acceptance. And I think that we have, the nice thing about language is that we have variations. I mean, you can have levels of acceptance. And I think setting those expectations, like you were saying, so you can say, yes, I think so, yes, probably, yes, I will, and then there's like, yeah, I try to never use, I try to very rarely use words like promise, or I give you my word, things like that, because when I do that, that's it. In my mind, there's no going back from that. There's no, you can't, oh, well, it really didn't work out, sorry, you know, that's just not an option. And so I try very much not to use those, and if I do, I will move heaven and earth if I have to make that happen. And so I think that people should really learn to use those variations of, yeah, I think I can, because now you're not setting it that, oh yeah, that's absolutely going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I think I can. I will try, you know.
Managing expectations.
Yeah, is a really, I think it's something that I don't think people do enough of, and they should, I think people, it's also a skill that I think people should work on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and that's one of those things we can take as steps in our life too, trying to live your best life, managing, figuring out, looking and examining yourself, and where do you sometimes fall short on things. We're all human, and where can we do a little bit better? And if that's one of the aspects that maybe sometimes you're promising too much with certain things, then figure out where you need to reel that back and manage those expectations.
You mean like with your time and your energy?
Exactly. And so with that, I hope that helps you with getting some thoughts to think about, some food for thought for this Sunday on integrity. Next week we're actually going to be going back into our full moons. We have the full moon coming up for March on the 20th. So next Wednesday I'll be talking about March's full moon, which is both the sap moon, the crow moon, the worm moon, several different names for the moons.
Did you say the worm moon?
The worm, yeah, well, the earth is starting to soften, hopefully by then. And the worms can start to come up as the rains come in, bringing in spring.
And yeah, I think moon, worm.
Yeah. I didn't name them.
It's just interesting. Okay.
It is an interesting one, especially
Most
for...
of them have some sort of a make sense thing. Okay.
Especially for our artists with Man in the Moon Metalworks, who's creating our moons for us. A worm moon might not be that might be hard to So I think maybe the sap moon or the crow moon can be represented a little bit better. But we will be showing you that new moon next week. If you're interested in purchasing any of the full moons, or maybe the set once we're done with the year, you can definitely let us know. Yeah, I can't wait to see them all come together. And the other thing that's exciting next week is Ostara, where, the Life Talk will be next Wednesday. Ostara is actually on the 20th. It's the first time in about 20 years that we've had the full moon so close to the actual time of the holiday. Ostara is the vernal equinox, the spring, the time that we have that that equality with the...
Same time, day and night.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, so that means warmer weather is supposedly coming.
On its way.
And
well, more
so...
sun usually means warmer weather.
Right, we'll see. and so, yeah, it's only a 4-hour difference between true springtime starting and the full moon. So it's also a super moon this month too. So there's a lot of things going on. I hope you're working right now on what you're manifesting, because as the moon is building into its full phase, that's where you're wanting to manifest. So think about what you're wanting to create. Focus on putting that energy in, and then on the 20th, all of that energy can come brimming out towards you, fulfilling your life. With that, I'm going to leave you for this week and say thank you so much for subscribing to us on YouTube, liking our Facebook page. Please share this video out with your friends and family, and we will see you next week.